On the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield, live from Baumhower's Victory Grille in Vestavia Hills, Alabama. Welcome to Crimson Tide Rewind, presented by Bud Light. It's for the fans. Golden Flake, the official potato chip of the Alabama Crimson Tide. And by Baumhower's Victory Grille, legendary fun, legendary food, and the official watch party location of the Crimson Tide. Now live. This is Crimson Tide Rewind. Here's Roger Hoover.
Roll Tide and welcome to Crimson Tide Rewind, presented by Bud Light. Hello again, everybody. This is Roger Hoover filling in tonight for Eli Gold, and I'm joined by John Parker Wilson filling in for Corey Reamer, who is on assignment, but we're getting back to the roots of the show by having John Parker Wilson on Crimson Tide Rewind. JP, it's great to see you. Roll Tide.
Man, it's good to be here. We got the reserves in today, right? Me filling in for Corey, you for Eli, but it's good to be here, and especially after a Alabama win.
Yeah, it was good to see the Crimson Tide back at home at Bryant-Denny Stadium, a 63-7 win against ULM this past Saturday. And like we talked about in the postgame show on the radio, John Parker, Alabama had some question marks after the Texas game, answered a lot of them early against Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah, I'm just glad, really, to start off with it, we didn't repeat our 2007 performance against Louisiana Monroe when, we didn't fare as well. So.
Some missed tackles out there by number 14 in Crimson.
Well, that only happens when you throw two interceptions. So Bryce did throw two interceptions, but luckily we got him down. So he was picking up where I left off.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, I think our guys played extremely well. Put up 63 points. Would like to see a shutout, but that's kind of getting a little greedy at this point. Louisiana Monroe was able to drop the ball there. I think it was in the third quarter, and. We did have some question marks, but I thought we came out with really good energy and came to play. We were focused, had the energy, a lot of enthusiasm, and that leads to a 63-point victory or 67-point victory. And, that's what you need after the first 2 weeks, kind of figuring out who your guys are, who the starters are, who's going to be in the trenches with you week in and week out. So kind of starting to get a good feel of that at most positions. Offensive line. Probably played their best game, had 273 yards on the ground. So all in all, I was really pleased with what we saw on Saturday.
Alabama picked up its third win of the season, again with a 63-7 win over ULM this past Saturday in Tuscaloosa. If you'd like to join us on the show tonight, give us a call on the Yellowhammer Brewing Hotline, 877-202-BAMA. And we want to take your calls throughout the next hour as you listen to Crimson Tide Rewind, live from Baumhower's Victory Grille in Vestavia Hills. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Bryce looking to his right. He's got a man over there. Catch is made. Nice comeback. 10-5. Touchdown, Alabama.
That was Chris Stewart on the call from the 63-7 win we saw for the Crimson Tide on Saturday against ULM in Tuscaloosa. Want to remind you to keep up with everything Alabama with the Alabama Crimson Tide mobile app presented by Cadence Bank. It's available at the App Store and Google Play. You can download the Alabama Crimson Tide mobile app now for free. John Parker Wilson, we had heard from Coach Saban that he wanted to start seeing some really explosive plays made on special teams. We certainly loved what we saw against Texas with a long field goal by Will Reichert, as well as what turned out to be the game winner. But we saw the return game kick it in high gear on Saturday.
Man, did we ever. That was pretty impressive from a lot of guys, right? Kool-Aid McKinstry led the way, 5 punt returns, 136 yards. Then Brian Branch was able to have his one shot at it, get a touchdown. Isaiah Bond, Ja'Cory Brooks. It's a weapon. Special teams is a weapon. We know Will Reichert and how comfortable we've been with him over the past few years since he's been taking over the kicking duties. He's done fantastic on not only extra points and field goals, but kicking the ball in the end zone pretty regularly. I think he had a couple that weren't in the end zone this week, but his leg's getting a little tired, you know?
It's a lot
of
these
kickoffs this week. Leg is getting tired. But, I mean, we got some weapons, right? Kool-Aid McKinstry, a defensive back, probably going over to Bill O'Brien today, asking him if he can't get some offensive love, get some catches out there. But, I think it's something that not only this week when we get ready, or Vanderbilt gets ready for us, but for the rest of the season, you're going to have to take a little extra time and look at this punt return, which leads to kickoff return unit that, who's got some great returners, but the cast of crew around them are extremely deep. Starters out there all over the field on special teams. That's something that Coach Saban's done since he's been there. It doesn't matter if you're a starter on offense or defense. Special teams is just as important, so you're going to get out there and play.
Yeah, and he's talked about that before, saying really if you create value for yourself on special teams while you're in college, that is going to help you, first of all, make and then stay on an NFL roster that much more.
Oh, well, when you get to NFL, so college, what we take 85 guys to a game, and then in the NFL, there's only 45. So there's 45 guys on the active roster. There's 8. That could be wrong. This is when I was playing, so it's been a few years. There's some guys that are inactive, so you've got to be able to play. And there's guys that make their entire career being, the third string linebacker, but can go down and make every tackle on a return team. I played with a guy in Atlanta that was really the return specialist. Could take back kicks and punts, but would go down there and make every tackle. He was the 5th receiver on our team. Didn't get a lot of catches, but played in the NFL for 10 years just because he was so good at special teams. It's a valuable position, especially when you get to the next level. And I think he's exactly right. Put it on tape, and it makes you more valuable when you get up to the NFL.
And even still, with a great performance we saw from Brian Branch, saw from Kool-Aid, he still talks about in punt returns when JoJo Earle is healthy. Coach Saban said that's still going to be his job when he is able to come back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think JoJo's going to get Wally pipped out of the kick return game, and it builds depth. Punt return to me is one of those things that is. It's easy just to watch it or, change the channel right before he gets the punt. But it's very difficult, and it takes experience to know when to go catch it, when to fair catch it, when to let the ball bounce and then try to receive it or let it go or get your guys out of the way. At the end of the game, in a tight game, it's very crucial to not give up enough yard or not give up yards as the punt's rolling out, but to go scoop it up and know when, okay, I need to give up more yards because it's a high-risk play. And, JoJo's been really good at that. And these other guys right now working in there, could serve in that role if something did happen to JoJo or he couldn't come back for whatever reason.
Again, a great performance by the Alabama special teams unit all around as the Crimson Tide broke a 75-year-old school record by accounting for 262 total punt return yards. November 22nd, 1947, Alabama had 204 in a win against LSU, a game that Tom Stipe remembers fondly. Alabama. Coming up, Game 4 of the season, the Crimson Tide against the Vanderbilt Commodores this Saturday. We are going to be talking about that, plus the win against ULM as we continue on Crimson Tide Rewind. If you'd like to join us, give us a call on the Yellowhammer Brewing Hotline at 877-202-BAMA. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
They'll try to hit the man out of the backfield. It goes off his head. Will Anderson, interception, 10-5, touchdown, Alabama.
One of my favorite plays of the game, the pick six by Will Anderson Jr., his first interception, his first touchdown, a great moment in Alabama's 63-7 win over ULM this past Saturday. This is Roger Hoover alongside John Parker Wilson. And just what was your reaction watching that play live as Will Anderson finally gets to celebrate a touchdown?
As a quarterback, I was thinking, man, I'm glad that's not me that threw the interception, and then you got to try to go make a tackle. So not a guy you want to try to bring down as big as Will Anderson is and as athletic as he is. But, I mean, he made a great play, and it was fun to see him be able to score a touchdown. You know, it's pretty cool. I saw some really good photos post-game of him going to the end zone with his hands out, you know, celebrating a little bit. And you know, he's a guy that, you know, means so much to this team, not just athletically and what he can do on the defensive side of the ball, but his leadership and his passion for the game. I mean, you just watch the way he plays, you listen to his press conferences and the way he talks and how much you know it means to him, and that influences and affects everybody else on the team. You know, coaches, players, trainers, everybody included. So he's a huge part of this team. It's nice to see him get a little love in there for the touchdown.
He even joked to the media today he's going to talk to Bill O'Brien and try and see, can there be an offensive package I can get in on him? Because, again, he showed he has the speed. He shows he can handle the football.
I think that'd be a great idea. Maybe like a tight end, get him in the red zone. You know, it's like you get out of the red zone. It's kind of like you start playing basketball. You can just box people out, throw a jump ball. He's probably going to catch it. It might be a good play. It'd be interesting to see if we see that later on in this year, though. Start practicing it right now this week, roll it out in about a month. I'm sure Bryce would go for it.
Bryce would go for it, and, of course, they'd have studied at Tennessee. They'd have studied at LSU and Ole Miss.
Right.
You know, that kind of stuff's all right. Again, if you'd like to join us on Crimson Tide Rewind, you can give us a call on the Yellowhammer Brewing Hotline. 877-202-BAMA is the number to dial. And our first call tonight is presented by Alabama 811. Alabama 811, reminding you to call 811 before you dig. Let's go to Pace, Florida. Say hello to the Pee-wee of the postgame. It is Parker who gives us a call now. Roll Tide, Parker.
Roll Tide, Roger. Roll Tide, JP.
Roll Tide, Parker.
You and I have the same name, except my last name's not Wilson.
Come on. What, is your first name John?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking. Hey, you got a heck of a name right there. I'd say it's the best. It's the best in the Southeast right there, John Parker. What's your last name?
Sington, Sington. My uncle was Fred Sington. He was on the committee that hired Bear Bryant.
Oh, come on. Let's go.
That's really good.
Great name and some nice little family legacy.
But I want to go back. I was actually in Brian Denny the year that we lost to ULM.
Oh,
that
great.
broke my heart.
Me too.
And weren't you the quarterback?
I was. Unfortunately, that was me.
You sound like me last week, Parker. I brought this up about 7 times in interviews and shows with JP.
Hey, that's okay. We've handled our business since I got done playing.
But I just want to say thank y'all so much for what y'all do on the airwaves, and thoughts and prayers, of course, go out to Eli Gold. I will say that every time I call in, you guys do a great job, and my dream is to work for y'all on the network one day, and that would be a dream come true. But roll Tide, and let's go win some more football games.
I like it, Parker. That's what I'm talking about. John Parker, I'm starting to call you JP.
Yeah, it's John Parker from now on when you join us, Parker, on the postgame. But a great call from Parker at Pace, Florida. Again, the number to dial us tonight, 877-202-BAMA. That is the Yellowhammer Brewing Hotline. We'll be back with more in just a moment. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
up, they do, and they will score. Malachi Moore, touchdown Alabama. Defense and now special teams getting touchdowns in this one as the Tide adds to its lead.
Well, of course, on Saturday, the Crimson Tide, first 3 touchdowns, one by the offense, one by special teams, one by defense, helping build up a quick 21-0 lead. It turned out to be 28-0 at the end of the first quarter as Alabama got the win, 63-7 over ULM. As we continue on Crimson Tide Rewind, if you'd like to join us, you can also submit a question to the Alabama Media Group Twitter line at UA_CTSN. That's brought to you by AL.com, your source for SEC sports. And we talked about it with the return game, but getting a block punt, all of those different things starting to round into shape as well for Alabama.
Yeah, it was a pretty good start when you could score in all 3 phases of the game. First touchdown to the pass to Holden, and then the next drive, the interception for a touchdown by Will Anderson. Then Bryce throws a pick, and then we got to go back out and take care of business. Bryce threw the pick, then it was a pick 6. And then the defense, coming in and blocking a punt. So, we've talked about all the return game and how good they did, but being able to come up the middle like that and blocking the punt. And then I really liked how the guys that kind of sorted it out. And I probably say this because I'm doing coach pitch baseball with my son right now. So when a ball goes to the outfield, it's like, it's a dog pile. Everybody's jumping on it. And that's kind of what you expected to see is everybody's running for the football, trying to get the touchdown. All you got to do is pick it up and get the touchdown. But, Branch was there the first on the scene, so everybody kind of, figured it out, let him get it. He goes in for the touchdown. But, you could have very easily they messed up that play for the touchdown at the end, but we got it done. We got 6 points on the board.
Certainly did. Part of a huge win for the Crimson Tide. And we mentioned as well the first touchdown to Trayshawn Holden. Holden in this ballgame, 3 catches, 60 yards, but still the leading receiver for the Crimson Tide was technically a running back. Jahmyr Gibbs, 4 catches, 65 yards, and so far he has been Alabama's leading receiver. Just what are you seeing from the wide receiver unit? And we're going to still keep seeing Jahmyr Gibbs being used in the passing game like he has been so far.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that we're going to continue to see him. Gibbs is such a dynamic guy, dynamic player, running back. Running back, receiver, punt returner. Seems like we've got plenty of guys in the punt return, kickoff return department right now. But, yeah, last week against ULM, Gibbs had 4 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown. And then the week before against Texas, again, leading receiver, 9 catches, 74 yards, and another touchdown that was huge when Bryce, remember, he rolled to the left and somehow was able to find it. But, Gibbs he's a special talent. He's a special player. Huge pickup in the transfer portal. When he's leading receiver right now as running back, I don't think that'll continue, but he seems to be on the same page as Bryce. A lot of designed passes to him, but this game it was checkdowns. It was Bryce looking downfield, trying to force the ball downfield. Defense is soft. All right, I know exactly where Gibbs is at, and he's going to be able to get a first down and more. It's comforting for Bryce and the quarterback to know where your check down is every play, and then not only is that, he's going to be in the right spot, help you out with field spacing with the defenders, and then after that, pick up a first down. You don't have to force it. You don't have to throw it somewhere you don't want to. Dump it off, let him do the rest.
How nice is it as well for the last 2 games to have Cam Latu back as a tight end because Bryce loves finding him.
Well, Cam's really good. I mean, Cam, remember he was a converted defensive or converted linebacker, right? Converted linebacker, converted defender. Let's put it at that. Missed the first couple games, had 4 catches for 28 against Texas, and in this game, Latu comes in for 3 catches for 51 yards, and that long one of the day, I think it was for Alabama, 38 yards. Yeah, it was on that the seam pass where he's one-on-one with a safety. And Bryce throws a perfect ball, but he's able to jump up and navigate his body where showing off his athleticism to be able to pull that ball down because tight ends running full speed downfield to be able to jump up like that and catch the ball showed me he's healthy and showed me he's right where he was last year that, from a year ago set the all-time record for Alabama tight ends. I think it was 8 touchdown catches. And you got to have a tight end as a weapon when you have him as a part of the offense. Spread them out with the receivers. We've got the running backs. Now you got to count for Gibbs out of the backfield and Latu catching it. This is going to give defensive coordinators fits all season long.
Certainly a good thing for the Crimson Tide moving forward as SEC play is coming up after a 3-0 start to the season. We'll continue with more Crimson Tide Rewind from Baumhower's Victory Grille in Vestavia Hills in just a moment. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Devin McCormick on to punt. Kool-Aid McKinstry deep for Alabama. A low line drive that Kool-Aid can return. He starts at his 15, gets to the 20. Hesitates, cuts back 25. Now at the 30. Still on his feet, 35. Still on his feet, 40. Still on his feet, 45. Now into ULM territory. Zigzags down to the 40-yard line. Great starting field position for the Crimson Tide after a beautiful return from Kool-Aid McKinstry, covering 43 yards north and south, east and west. He ran about 110. A beautiful high booming kick that will send Ja'Cory Brooks back. Check that, it's Kool-Aid, I'm sorry, back inside the 10. Again, up the middle, big yardage, 30, 35, 40. Kool-Aid, 45, cuts across, gets to the midfield stripe. And what I have Kool-Aid McKinstry is having in the return game for the Crimson Tide.
Oh yeah, Kool-Aid with a great performance in the punt return game for the Crimson Tide against ULM on Saturday, as the Crimson Tide again had a record-breaking performance in terms of punt return yardage last Saturday in Tuscaloosa. If you'd like to join us tonight on Crimson Tide Rewind, you can submit your question to us on the Alabama Media Group Twitter line at UA_CTSN. That's brought to you by AL.com, your source for SEC sports. So the Crimson Tide get a win. We've talked about the offense, we've talked about special teams, but how about the defense? Limited ULM to just one touchdown in this ball game, and again held them off the scoreboard only really one time, 7 points in the second quarter, but otherwise a really strong performance by this defense.
No question. 169 yards total offense for ULM, 91 through the air, 78 on the ground. Let's see, they were 4 of 17 on third down, so pretty strong from our defense. And we've got a lot of guys playing really good football right now. Our defense is deep, and you got to love to see it because we obviously know everything that Will Anderson can do. But how about Jalen Moody coming back for his fifth year leading Alabama right now with 22 total tackles on the season? And it's really been all over the place. Him and really DeMarco Helms, the safety, have been flying around and just always around the football. And that's what you like to see is guys, swarming to the football. And I feel like our defense had the best job of the year of getting to the football and gang tackling people and just having numbers at the football. Defense is playing well. We're still working out, it seems, the cornerback position opposite of Kool-Aid. Right now we've got Terrion Arnold and Kyrie Jackson playing. Eli Ricks got some early snaps too. So depth at honestly every position on defense right now.
Really good to see, and really Henry To'oTo'o as well. It may not show up in the stats as much, but he impacts this game in such a big way.
Yeah, he really does. Transfer in from Tennessee, and now this year, to me, being the signal caller of the defense, getting everybody lined up. He's the quarterback, and he's not. You might not have the stats week in and week out of being the top tackler, but you can feel his presence and his knowledge of the defense. Remember, he came from Tennessee, where Jeremy Pruitt was the head coach, run a very similar defense to what Coach Saban and Pete Golding are going to do, and he's orchestrating everything beautifully right now with Will Anderson next to him. Jordan Battle, Deontay Lawson has gotten a lot of good press, a lot of good media coverage from the media, and also Coach Saban giving him some shout outs. So our linebacker core is deep. Our defensive line is extremely deep, and I think these guys are going to continue to dictate what offenses are going to do, right? And being able to get pressure with just 4 or 5 guys.
And one of the biggest things to me as well, just they're playing so well in the red zone, not allowing touchdowns. That certainly was key to the win against Texas. We've seen it as well against Utah State and ULM.
Yeah, if Rashad was here, he would always say, if you get to the red zone, it's not the end of the world. End every kick, end every drive with a punt or a field goal. You're not going to get beat if you just give up field goals, and you're exactly right. I don't know what their numbers are on the entire year.
So just 2 for 7. So 7 trips to the red zone by opponents, only 2 touchdowns allowed.
It's pretty strong.
Yeah.
It's pretty strong, and only 7 trips through games is pretty strong too. So we're keeping them out of the end zone. That we get down there. Athleticism takes over, and the red zone, it gets harder to throw the ball the closer you get to the goal line, right? Because there's an end, the end line, you can't go past it, and it gets harder and harder and harder. And we're so good against the run, and right now defensively, I feel like our DBs are playing well. They'll continue to get better, and especially the cornerback position, so much experience at the safety positions, but. Right now, we're really dictating what other offenses are trying to do against us, and it really boils down to the pass rush.
That's John Parker Wilson. I'm Roger Hoover, as we're with you tonight from Baumhower's Victory Grill in Vestavia Hills. And I want to remind you, you can celebrate 40 years of Baumhower's Victory Grill this fall with new flavors, including Alabama hot chicken, fajita wraps, and legendary buffalo wings. Baumhower's Victory Grill, legendary food, legendary fun. We continue with Crimson Tide Rewind coming up next. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfields. with the media today, looking ahead to what's coming up with Alabama against Vanderbilt, plus taking a look back at the win from Saturday against ULM.
I was really pleased with the energy that our players played with in the last game. They could have come out and just said, look at who we're playing, and not played to the standard that we're trying to create, which we tried to emphasize. But I thought the energy and enthusiasm was good. I thought the execution was a lot better. I think we played a lot smarter. We're still working toward, and each and every player can do this. Each and every coach can do this. I can do this, toward total consistency in playing to the standard that we want to play to. And the choice is do you want to build on the challenges of the future? All right, now we're getting into SEC games, and certainly this first game is going to be, a challenge. It's an SEC game. Vanderbilt's 3-1. Much improved, team over last year. They have like 14 starters back, but they're scoring 42 points a game, and they play two quarterbacks. Both of them are very, very capable, very good athletes. They run the ball. They run some options. They very capable passing. 14. Shepard is one of the leading receivers in the SEC. Defensively, these guys they play hard. They're tough. They've given up some yards in their games, but they've played well enough to be able to be effective in winning 3 games. The kicking game is good. The punter is one of the leading punters in the country in terms of 48.9 yard average. Joseph has done a good job of kicking for him. So, this is a good all-around team and going to be a challenging game for us.
That was the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Nick Saban, meeting with the media earlier today in Tuscaloosa. We want to say a special thanks to Onward Reserve. They are the official apparel provider of the Crimson Tide Sports Network for the great gear this year. Visit onwardreserve.com for all of your game day apparel. Live authentically with Onward Reserve. You're listening to Crimson Tide Rewind, presented by Bud Light. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. in Birmingham. Payless can handle your prescriptions, over-the-counter solutions, and home delivery. Payless at mynewpharmacy.com. We're starting to get focused now on the Vanderbilt Commodores. The SEC opener is Saturday, 6:30 will be the start time. Our radio coverage will begin at 3:30 coming up across the network from Bryant-Denny Stadium. And as we heard Coach Saban talk about, Vanderbilt 3-1, a much improved Vanderbilt roster under head coach Clark Lee now in his second year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, like you said, they're averaging 42 points a game. I don't care who you're playing. I mean, that's putting up some production right there. They play 2 quarterbacks. And they've got one of the best receivers right now statistically in the SEC. So, they're coming in with some confidence. 3-1. A lot of people didn't have them picked to win 3 games the entire season. Here through 4 games, they've already done it. So, trying to turn things around there for Vanderbilt. And there's no bigger opportunity than to come to Tuscaloosa and try to knock off one of the best teams in the country. So, a lot of motivation from them. But Alabama has got to remain focused and I feel good about that after what we saw last week against Louisiana Monroe, where I felt like our focus was there all day long. You could tell we practiced really well because came out and had a really good showing. So it's going to take more of the same this week, getting ready for it. And two, like the first SEC game, I mean, this is getting you ready for the rest of the season. So your routine, how you're getting ready for the game mentally, the night before in the hotel. This is when it picks up and when things start to really matter. And we got a pretty tough schedule coming up. Vanderbilt, then we go on the road to Arkansas, right? Then Texas A&M after that, and I think it is Tennessee.
And then Mississippi State.
And then Mississippi State.
Yeah, normally you get the bye week right after Tennessee and between LSU, but now, I mean, it's a really tough October.
There's no doubt. So you've got to start doing the things, get your mind and your body ready to handle that, knowing what's coming up. And we're 3 games in our belt, but it's just different when you're playing in the SEC because these games count. These games are trying to get to Atlanta. That's the first goal of the season is we need to make it to Atlanta. Give ourselves a chance to win the SEC championship and then see what happens from there. So we got to start this week. It's a night game, which we've been historically pretty good at, especially in Bryant-Denny Stadium. So we gotta send a message to Vanderbilt and the rest of the league that Alabama's here to play.
Well, the Crimson Tide will be going up against the reigning SEC Freshman of the Week. A.J. Swan earned that honor, the quarterback for Vanderbilt. As Coach Saban has mentioned, they've played a couple quarterbacks so far this season. They're putting up some great yardage and finding the end zone as well.
Yeah, and when you've got to prepare for 2 quarterbacks, there's different game. You have different game plans for different quarterbacks. So you've got to you might have to lessen your game plan or make it more broad. How you're going to attack things because you don't know who you're going to get. So just another wrinkle that our defense is going to have to play with this week. But, another thing that Coach Saban talked about, especially with, Will, and he made a couple comments about Deontay is doing the right thing and getting ready and being focused during the week so you can go out there and play fast. And that's what it's about. It's about not thinking. It's about reacting. And when you put in the work during the week, then you go out there on Saturday, coach calls a play. Okay, I know, we're running this blitz, and I've got these adjustments to make and these checks based off what the other offense is doing. So that only comes through, putting the work in during the week. And it started today on Monday, and you got to carry that out through Friday. And that's the tough thing about college football is it's not, you don't play every day. You got to practice, and then you only get to play one time a week.
Well, the Crimson Tide, the Commodores coming up on Saturday. We've been talking about the running game for the Crimson Tide and trying to find that consistency. How important is that going to be in a game like this?
It's important for this game, but it's really important for every game that we play because we want to be balanced. We want to be, if we could run the ball 30 times a game and pass the ball 30 times a game, we would do that. That's what the stats would look like because it's much harder to game plan. It's much harder to cover when you can run, you can pass, you can run play action, you can run bootlegs, you can run screens. There's so much that the offense can do, taking shots downfield. If you have the ability to run the ball and be consistent in the run, right, and to get 5-6 yards a carry where you can take shots on first down. You can try to push the field early, and if you don't hit it, then you're going to pick up second, third down and try to convert that. But the running game for this offense is important, and we got to continue to do it. I think the guys were much better this week of controlling the line of scrimmage, of being physical. That was something Coach Saban challenged them after the Texas game. after the Utah State game was be physical, control the line of scrimmage, dominate it, and they were able to do it against ULM. We'll see if they can do it again against Vandy.
One of the key players picked up by the Crimson Tide in the transfer portal this past year is from Vanderbilt, the left tackle Tyler Steen. We'll be talking with him later in the week on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. But he's been a really important addition, and to earn that left tackle job out of camp says a lot about him, right?
No doubt. I mean, left tackle, that's the biggest job on the on the offensive line when you got a right-handed quarterback to protect that blind side, and he's got a ton of experience, and has came out this year has shown a lot of athleticism. They're asking him to do a lot, get out on the edge on that left side, and try to let our running backs get some space out there near the sidelines. And I thought this was his best game last week against ULM, and it's a little different when you go play your old teammates, because it wasn't too long ago when they were in the same locker room and they were having the same goals, and now it's changed for them. This is something a lot of the college football players are getting used to now, and a couple of years after the transfer portal, but it's still going to mean a lot to him. His teammates, his former teammates, are going to probably have a couple extra words to say to him. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun for him to go out there and get a chance to hit those guys.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it as Alabama starts what's really a tough schedule coming up in the SEC with the Vanderbilt Commodores again. That'll be Saturday at 6:30 at Bryant-Denny Stadium. We'll continue talking about what's on tap next for Bama when we return. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. Well, the Alabama Crimson Tide getting set for the fourth game of the season this Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium. That's what's on tap next for Bama. It's brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light proudly welcomes back Tide fans to Bryant-Denny Stadium. This year, Bud Light is for the fans. And John Parker Wilson, while we have a moment, we're, of course, watching Monday Night Football. We've been seeing great things from Derrick Henry. If you watched the NFL yesterday, you saw almost nothing but great things from Crimson Tide alums. Does it blow your mind how many players are right now in the National Football League from Alabama?
No, it's awesome. It's awesome to see, and it's awesome to see how well they're doing. I don't think anything was better yesterday than Tua's comeback win there in the fourth quarter, and what they were able to do. And it's pretty fun to watch him throw the ball to Jalen Waddle. And here we are watching Derrick Henry play, and there's guys just, for me, it's really hard to figure out who you're going to pull for because there's so many guys on so many different teams. It's like, well, I'm watching football now, and it's just basically whoever's got more Alabama guys is the team that I'm rooting for, which is a good problem to have. And we've got such a strong recruiting pipeline through Coach Saban and the development that takes place in their own school there. They're walking in to NFL teams and making their impact felt.
And you guys helped establish that early in the Saban era, but I imagine even as times would get tough, going through some tough practices, regardless of the time of the year, does he use that as a motivating factor for some players? Like, not only do you have to do your job and help out Alabama right now, but this is for your future, every little thing you're doing.
No doubt. And you hear him a lot saying creating value for yourself as a player, right? That's on the field because when scouts go at the end of the season, they're not watching the full game tape. They're going to watch Jahmyr Gibbs in every snap that he takes. Good, bad, and different. They'll just watch them over and over, back to back to back to back. So they're not going to have a lot of context of what the game is going on. It's, okay, we got a weak side blitz right here. Are you going to pick up the right guy? Are you going to run the right route? Are you going to hit the right hole? Are you going to see the cutback lane? You got to do it right, not just for one play, but really the whole entire season. And, it's good for Alabama players to go against the caliber of people that we do during practice, and then you get ready for a game, and then if you get the chance to go play the NFL, like you've had not only playing in the SEC, but playing against the players that we have to play against day in and day out during practices is as hard as it's going to get.
Very helpful for this Crimson Tide football team that, again, this season off to a 3-0 start and now getting ready for Week 4 against Vanderbilt. SEC football is here, and we kind of laid it out just a moment ago, but it's very important for this group to take things right now one game at a time with everything's coming up on this schedule.
Yeah, because here it comes. There's only a couple SEC games this week. Arkansas is going to play A&M. Am I looking at the right week? Yeah.
Yeah, that's this week in Dallas.
Arkansas plays A&M. Florida plays Tennessee. We're going to play Vandy. Missouri faces off against Auburn. Both 2-1 teams. So this is where you got to make it. You got to make it pay. You start to make a move right here the first week, and things change. Things change throughout the year. Injuries happen to teams, but it really at the end of the day, it's how you play in SEC play. Right? You're looking at Texas A&M. They're 23rd in the country right now. Well, if they go out and run the table in the SEC West, they're going to make it to Atlanta, and that's what everybody's trying to do. And you got to, you got to shake off the good things you've done, the bad things you've done, and kind of reset and get ready to play because it's a long season. It's a long season, and crazy things happen week in and week out. You just got to be ready for it when it happens.
We're looking forward to it. John Parker Wilson, thank you so much for sitting in for our friend Corey Reamer tonight. Of course, I'm filling in for Eli, so we'll have the whole crew back together very shortly, but we enjoyed having you with us here on this Monday night from Baumhower's in Vestavia Hills. Roll Tide.
Good to be here. Always good to be here with you, Roger, and everybody else, and Todd and Ethan. So appreciate y'all having me. Let me fill in.
Absolutely. That's John Parker Wilson. You can hear him coming up on Saturday as Alabama takes on Vanderbilt. Again, 6:30 the start time. Our coverage on the radio will begin at 3:30 across the network. If you missed any portion of tonight's show, you can always catch it on demand on the Alabama Insider Podcast. Download and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. One of the easiest places to go for that is the Varsity Network app, where you can also hear our live stream all throughout football Saturdays, and basketball's right around the corner as well. The full schedules have been released for men's and women's basketball, RolledTide.com. So make sure you check out the Alabama Insider Podcast and the Varsity Network app as well. And coming up this week on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, we're going to be busy Tuesdays, Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central with Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. That's going to include some great one-on-one conversations with Will Anderson Jr. as well as Tyler Steen as we get ready for Alabama against Vanderbilt. But that does it for Crimson Tide Rewind, presented by Bud Light, live from Baumhower's Victory Grille in Vestavia Hills. Thanks to our on-site engineer Todd Robbins, producers Jerry Kelly, Jacob Smith back at our Learfield studios, as well as Ethan Carabin producing our Facebook live stream. For John Parker Wilson and for Corey Reamer, I'm Roger Hoover in for Eli Gold, saying thank you for listening to Crimson Tide Rewind. Good night and Roll Tide.